His mouth was hot on my neck, his breath coming hard as he pressed me against the wall. One of his hands was tangled in my hair, the other gripping my waist so tight it almost hurt. I could feel the hardness of him through his jeans, pressing into me like a question I was about to answer. I shouldn't have been there. I knew that. But at that moment, my body didn't care about right or wrong. All I could think about was how good he felt and how badly I wanted him inside me. Before I tell you the rest, if you're listening, don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Because what happened that night changed everything. And I'm about to tell you how it all started. My name isn't important. And I'm not about to tell you where I live or who my husband is. Let's just say I'm a woman who had a normal life, a nice house in the suburbs, a husband who worked long hours, and friends who all seemed perfectly happy with quiet marriages and family barbecues. I used to be like that, too. But sometimes a little spark can start a fire you never meant to light. It started simple enough. His name was Jason. Tall, lean, dark hair, and a smile that made my stomach tighten. He wasn't just good-looking, he was the kind of man who made you feel like you were the only woman in the room when he looked at you. He worked in the same building downtown, 2 floors above mine. We'd run into each other at the coffee shop in the lobby. The first few times, it was just friendly conversation. "Hey, how's your morning going? Long day ahead?" Nothing special. Until one morning, his fingers brushed mine when we both reached for the same coffee stirrer. The shock that went through me was instant. It was like my body remembered what it felt like to want someone. I laughed it off, but the way he held my eyes for a second too long made something deep inside me flutter awake. After that, I started noticing things. How his shirt sleeves strained over his forearms. How his eyes crinkled when he smiled. How his voice dropped lower when he said my name. It was harmless flirting, at first. A little dangerous, but still innocent enough. But that was the thing about Jason, he knew how to make harmless things feel like secrets. Like every word meant something more. One rainy afternoon, we ended up riding the elevator alone. The lights flickered as the elevator jerked to a stop. "Oh, perfect," I said, trying to laugh. "Stuck between floors." Jason smiled, leaning closer. "Could be worse. I'm stuck with good company." My heart thudded so loud I was sure he could hear it. Then he reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. It was such a small gesture, but my entire body lit up like a fuse. When the elevator finally started moving again, I was flushed, breathless, and couldn't look him in the eyes. That night, lying in bed next to my husband, I replayed that elevator ride over and over. And for the first time in years, I touched myself, thinking of someone who wasn't my husband. That was how it began. A spark. A flicker of heat. But I didn't know then that it would lead me to that night against the wall, when I finally gave in. After that elevator ride, it felt like Jason and I had crossed an invisible line. He started finding little ways to see me. He'd show up in the lobby around the same time as my coffee break. He'd linger near the elevators, pretending to check his phone until I came by. It sounds silly now, but those tiny moments were like drops of gasoline on a spark that was already burning inside me. One afternoon, we ended up sitting at a small corner table in the coffee shop. Rain was streaking down the glass, turning the city into a blurry gray painting. Jason stirred his coffee and looked at me over the rim of his cup. "You know," he said softly, "I keep thinking about the elevator." I swallowed. My pulse skipped. "Me too." His eyes darkened. "I wanted to kiss you so bad. I should have gotten up and left. I should have reminded myself that I was married. That this was dangerous. But instead, I just whispered, 'Me too.'" He reached across the table and brushed his thumb along the back of my hand. It was such a simple touch, but it felt like he'd lit a match under my skin. After that day, everything changed. Jason started texting me at night. At first it was casual. "Hope your day was good. Can't stop thinking about your smile." Then it got bolder. I keep imagining your lips on mine. I bet you taste so sweet. I tried to ignore it. I'd leave his messages unread for hours. But eventually, I'd cave. You have to stop. This is crazy. But then I'd send. I'm thinking about you too. At home, I became a stranger to my own husband. Tyler would be watching TV, and I'd be sitting next to him, phone hidden in my lap, heart pounding as I texted Jason. There were nights I'd lie beside Tyler, staring at the ceiling, my body aching because I wanted someone else's hands on me. One Friday, Jason texted me. Come see me. Third floor storage room. 5 minutes. I nearly dropped my phone. I told myself I'd just go to tell him we had to stop. That this was getting out of hand. But when I stepped into that dusty storage room, Jason was already there. He looked at me like he was starving. Before I could say a word, he pulled me into the shadows and kissed me. It wasn't a soft kiss. It was hungry. Possessive. His tongue slid into my mouth, and I moaned before I could stop myself. He pressed me against a shelf of old office supplies, one hand tangled in my hair, the other gripping my waist. When his thigh slipped between mine, I gasped. Jason, we can't. But my body didn't believe my own words. He pulled back just enough to look me in the eyes. Tell me to stop. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. He kissed me again, deeper this time, and I felt like my entire world tilted sideways. When he finally let me go, I was shaking. My lips felt bruised. My panties were soaked. Don't pretend you don't want this, he whispered. I couldn't argue. Because I did. I wanted him so badly I could barely breathe. That weekend, I tried to keep my distance. I turned my phone off. I forced myself to focus on Tyler. But by Sunday night, the silence was driving me crazy. I wanted Jason's messages. I wanted his touch. I turned my phone back on, and there it was. Tell me where and when. I'm yours. And if you're listening right now, like this video, share it with someone who loves juicy secrets, and subscribe to my channel. I didn't plan for it to happen that night. But then again, I didn't plan for any of this. It started with one text from Jason. Just 6 words. Room 14. Red Pine Motel. Now. My heart thudded when I saw it. My first instinct was to ignore it. I was sitting at the dinner table with Tyler, pushing broccoli around my plate while he talked about gas prices and the neighbor's barking dog. I nodded, smiled, laughed when I was supposed to. But my body was somewhere else entirely. By the time Tyler went upstairs to take a shower, I had already made my decision. I grabbed my keys, told him I needed tampons, and walked out the door. The Red Pine Motel was 20 minutes away, just far enough to feel like a separate world. I parked in the back, heart racing, palms sweating. Room 14's curtain was pulled tight. The porch light buzzed faintly above the door. I knocked once. He opened it fast, like he'd been standing behind it the whole time. Jason didn't say a word. He just looked at me, really looked at me, like he was starving. I stepped inside. The door clicked shut behind me. Then he kissed me. Hard. Deep. His mouth crushed against mine, his hands already working their way beneath my shirt. He peeled my clothes off one piece at a time, like he'd been waiting to do it for years. His hands were warm and rough in all the right ways. When he unhooked my bra and let it fall, he stared at me like I was the only woman in the world. You're so damn beautiful, he murmured, voice low and hoarse. I was trembling. I don't know what I'm doing. He kissed the corner of my mouth. You're doing exactly what you need to do. He laid me back on the bed, his hands exploring every inch of me, slow at first, then faster, more eager. My body melted under his touch. My legs fell open without hesitation. When he finally slid inside me, it was like something snapped loose in my chest. I let out a sound I didn't recognize, half moan, half relief. Jason moved slowly at first, watching my face, adjusting to my rhythm, then deeper, harder, pulling sounds from me that no one had heard in years. I clutched at the sheets, at his arms, at his shoulders. I wasn't thinking. I wasn't worrying. I just felt. I came hard, loud, shaking, gasping his name like a prayer I didn't know I still believed in. Afterward, we lay tangled in the thin motel sheets. His arm was around me, our skin still slick with sweat. I was staring at the ceiling fan, completely silent. My heart was pounding, not from guilt, but from the way he made me feel alive. Jason looked at me and smiled. "Told you you'd give in." I laughed softly, hiding my face in his chest. "I hate that you were right. But you don't regret it." I didn't answer. Because he already knew. When I got home, Tyler was asleep. I crawled into bed next to him, the smell of motel soap still clinging to my skin. I stared at the ceiling and told myself it was a one-time thing. But we both know that's a lie. Jason and I still text. Still flirt. Still remember every detail of that night. I haven't gone back. Not yet. But I know it's only a matter of time. Because once you give in, it's never just once. So, here I am. Anonymous. Confessing. Not because I need forgiveness. But because sometimes, secrets burn too hot to keep inside.